This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Okay, Brucham Abam, welcome everyone. We're continuing in Pirkei Avos with the commentary of Rabbeinu Yona. We're up to Parak Aleph, Mishnah Yud Zayin. Shimon b'nai Omer. Shimon, the son of Ram Gamliel, says. Now, we mentioned last week that the Ram Gamliel mentioned here was Ram Gamliel Hazaken, the son of Rab Shimon, the son of Hillel. Shimon b'nai is the son of Ram Gamliel Hazaken. And then after that, Mishnah Yirches is Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel, but Ram Gamliel of Yavne is absent in Pirkei Avos. So Shimon b'nai Omer, Kol yomai gadalti min hachachamim. My whole life, I grew up among the sages. V'lo motzasi laguf tov mishasika. I did not find anything better physically than silence. V'lo hamidrash hu ha'ikar. Expounding is not what is primary, ela hamasa, rather action. V'chal hamarbe devarim may be chet. One who increases in words brings to sin. So, all of these three statements are extolling the virtues of silence. It's good physically. It's not speech which is primary, but action. And excessive speech brings to sin. Says Rabbeinu Yona, Shimon b'nai Omer, Kol yomai gadalti min hachachamim. V'ra'isi. I didn't just grow up among the sages. I watched them. V'hivanti, I comprehended. B'chol hamidos hachashuvos, all the important midos. V'lo motzasi laguf tov mishtika. I didn't find anything better for the body than silence. Kvar pirush haramzal b'inyan hashsika. The Rambam himself already explains regarding silence. Ki badibur sheyesh la'adam nezik ba mikol tzad. In man's speech, there could be damage. Or if it's speech that could have some advantage and some harm. Such speech, Rab Shimon Gamliel did not need to warn us about. Because it's obvious if it's entirely damaging or partially damaging, we don't need Rabbi Shimon Gamliel to warn us about. Every person will be careful from it if he wants to guard from the distress of his soul. But even speech that is not harmful at all, and is entirely advantageous, speaking about one's business, or for livelihood, one has to minimize the speech, and not speak lengthy, only what is sufficient. It goes without saying when it comes to foolishness, that if it's not advantageous, or if it's not disparaging, meaning something that's totally damaging, partially damaging, we don't need Shem Gamliel to warn us about. It's talking about even speech which is totally beneficial should be curtailed as much as possible. Certainly nonsense. V'chein Amar b'Yushalmi, Amar Rab Shimon ben Lakish, Ilu Avinu b'Torah d'Sira Avinu train Pume. Rab Shimon ben Lakish said, if I would have been on Har Sinai, I would have asked for 2 mouths. Hadar Amar, but now, he then said, but now that I was only given 1 mouth, I cannot save myself and be spared from Lashon Hara. Koshekeni haven't lunch rain. All the more so if we would have had 2 mouths. So Tzolomar. One should not use his mouth to speak divrei Torah, to speak words of intelligence, and to speak words of emptiness. Because the holy sages would make themselves like a sacrificial vessel. The holy sages recognized that they were ambassadors of holiness, and they were promulgating the Torah, and therefore they were like a kli of the Beis HaMikdash, and their mouth was like a kli of the Beis HaMikdash, and therefore they did not want to use their mouth for any mundane purpose. Just like a klisharis, we don't put anything mundane in them, they had a certain recognition not to use their mouths for anything mundane. V'hainu da'amri hasam Gemara. This is what the Gemara means, the B'nai Ma'arava, that the people in Eretz Yisrael call patitaya bishin. All chatter is bad. Bar mi patitaya doiraisa tavi, except for the chatter of Torah is good. The Yeshgars, and some have a text, call kiravaya bishin, bar mi kiravaya doiraisa tav. All plowing is bad except for the plowing of Torah, which is good. What does that mean? Perush kiravaya. Kiravaya means charisha, plowing. All words, v'chol machshavos, and all thoughts, that a person makes efforts in them in this world. Hakol hevel urus ruach. All thoughts, all planning that a person plans in this world, it's all empty. Levad mi machshavos haTorah. Besides the thoughts of Torah, u'maseh Hashem, ki noiruhu, they're awesome. Loi ha-medrash hu ikar ela hamasa, ratzah loymar, shelo yelamed v'yidrosh ha-mitzvahs la'achirim. Person should not teach and expound upon mitzvahs to others, v'hu eino oisai, and he doesn't do them. Meaning, before you talk, you better do. Don't talk about the importance of things before you do them. You should do it first, and then teach it to others. Like our sages say, matters are fitting if they are emanate from those who do them. So the ikar is not to tell people what to do unless you do it yourself. Anyone who speaks excessively brings to sin. This is talking about words of Torah. A person, this is not only talking about chatter, it's talking about Torah. Someone who speaks excessively brings to sin. A person should not speak excessively in halacha. Don't just run the mouth in giving over halacha, but one should be deliberate in thought. V'yomer dvarav b'mishkal. One should say his words calculated. V'lo yamaher oisam. And not be quick to emit them. Ki b'roiv dvarim lo yechtal pasha. In abundant words, you will not be removed from sin. V'yachshav, you should think, yahadavar kachu. One should think about how speaking too quickly could bring to sin, and it could bring to a mistake in instruction. The reason why this is the last statement in the Mishnah, was said after is so that you realize that it's not going on chatter. It goes without saying excessive speech could bring to sin. But it delayed saying this until it says Loi ha-medrash hu ha-ikar ela hamasa shume'inyan ha-Torah lo idea ki b'divrei Torah. This is instruction regarding Torah. Af gam zoi she'en lefarshos b'divrei olam. Also, you can explain that it's referring to ordinary matters, because otherwise it should be juxtaposed to, I have not found for my body anything that is good, only silence, which is in matters of the world. It's referring to Torah, that if you're too quick to say what a halacha is, it could bring to error. Okay, so this is Mishnah Yud Zayin, and Be'ezus Hashem, next week we'll do the final Mishnah of the Perek. I wish everyone a wonderful Shabbos. Bracha v'hatzlacha.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.